am I breaking through? Am I breaking through?
You're tuned in to a Grown Folks production. In mix with the commish, Nate.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show. What's up, Bird? Good to see you. Actually, no, it's not good to see you, Bird. You're a jerk. I don't want to talk to you, Bird. I'm just kidding. I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We're going to try something different. The Press Pass Live show is your weekly podcast show for the OMFL, the world's oldest and longest online Madden CFM. Started in 2001, still going strong here today, and we appreciate you for tuning in tonight. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a around the horn style show. At least that was the plan. And then two of the four who said they'd be here or not here and not answering. So that is sort of on pause, but I think we're still going to try to do this as much as we can. Let me welcome in two of the four people. Matter of fact, I guess we can technically go ahead and change some of this. It's going to look a little funky, but we're going to take this one away. We're going to take this one away. And we're gonna do the same over here. We're gonna take that guy away. We're going to take that guy away. Let me welcome in Mr. Big Hurt of your Minnesota Vikings and Mr. Maniac of your Buffalo Bills and the Deuce. Fellas, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing well.
Maniac's not doing it at all. He probably unplugged his microphone for the third time again tonight. My guy's just unplugging this. Might have the goat with him. You never know with Mr. Maniac. Hopefully, there he is. Hopefully, Mr. Dwayne and hopefully Mr. Trey are able to jump in here. I don't know. They work. They have families. They got a lot of things going on. But either way, we're going to try to have ourselves a really good time. Guys, we're going to try to do a little around the horn. I keep saying PTI, but it's around the horn style. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to cover a couple of the games that we just got through not too long ago. Let me move this stuff over here. We're going to start at week number 4. The Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Buffalo Bills 17-15. Buffalo was playing with a backup quarterback, gave him a hell of a run. I watched this game. It was a ton of fun. Buffalo drove, missed a field goal right there at the end that could have won it. It was a really good game. Chicago with a 27-7 victory over the Los Angeles Rams. The Miami Dolphins with a 20-16 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. The Carolina Panthers squeaking out a 2-point victory over the New York Jets, 30-28. The Houston Texans, man, we're going to talk more about them, 24-20 over the Atlanta Falcons. Arizona Cardinals on a hot streak this year, 38-24 over Pittsburgh Steelers. Cincinnati falls to New England, 28-23. Your Minnesota Vikings with a 31-21 victory over the Green Bay Packers. Cleveland with a 24-14 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not sure that was really played. It might have been a CPU game. Kansas City with a 30-17 victory over the Vegas Raiders. The Denver Broncos with a 34-10 victory over the Baltimore Ravens. The Indianapolis Colts with an 18-16 victory over the Chargers. Detroit with a 38-21 victory over the Saints. Seattle with a 24-13 victory over the Tennessee Titans. Dallas squeaks by with a 17-10 victory over the New York Giants. And Washington rounds out week number 4 with a 24-17 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We can only talk about one of these. I want to talk about the Indianapolis Colts and the Los Angeles Chargers. Colts come away with an 18-16 victory. Guys, is this a bigger win for the Colts or a bigger loss for the Chargers?
For me, I think this is almost, you have to look at it as a bigger loss for the Chargers. Coming out of the season that he had this last season that he went deep into the playoffs, and I know the Colts have kind of having a resurgence, but just for the fact that the Chargers reloaded in the offseason, had a lot of pieces that he had brought in. It was looking like, he was just really making a push, and then to get this loss here, I think, to me, that you look at this, I think this has got to be a little bit more of a shocker on that end that he lost this game. And it was just a real close game. There wasn't a lot of points scored. In fact, all the points basically for the Chargers were scored in the second half there. So, I mean, they made a late push, but just really, it's got to be disappointing with the season that he had to get this loss here, especially against a team they may be vying for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Maniac there. I think the Chargers, the way they've been playing in the season, just how the season ended last year in the playoffs, and like Randy had the success of making it pretty far, gaining a lot of momentum, and then has been on I would say, pretty decent streak to start the season here. This go around, I think this is definitely a bigger loss for the Chargers there.
My guy Hurt, not giving us a lot of thought there. I think this is a bigger win, though, for the Indianapolis Colts. And my two big talkers here took less than a minute to cover that subject. So good for them. This is going to be the world's fastest around the horn that we've ever had. I got a lot to figure out here. So this was just a triggered idea. I thought I was going to have access to all four guys, and so that was going to be fun. I was like, let's do it. I'm going to figure out how to put points on the board. I'm keeping the points by hand. At the end, we're going to have a showdown. Then the winner is going to get 1 minute to talk about everything that they want to talk about. We're going to go 2 minutes per game that we break down. So this should be a lot of fun. We'll work out the wrinkles and we'll get there over some time. But that is a look at week number 4. I'm going to keep checking the chat. I don't know if Mr. Trey and Mr. Dwayne are going to join us. Dwayne didn't answer me, so I feel like maybe he's got some better plans tonight. And Trey did tell me he was going to be busy. In week number 5, the New England Patriots come away with a 21-17 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. Arizona Cardinals 21, the Minnesota Vikings 14. Dallas comes away with a 20-17 victory over Chicago. We'll start using the names of the owners here because everybody can see the names that are on the screen. Bird with a 17-48 loss to Fleury, a big loss. Bird even told me that got away from him in the second half. He said he threw like three pick sixes in a row, just kind of got crazy there. Cincy Bird with a big victory over Roger, 34-28. Your Maniac and the Buffalo Bills get a 24-21 win over Massimo. Tim with a 24-23 victory over Trey. We talked a lot about this game as a preview. Trey getting to go back home and play his team. Falls short by just 1 point. Bill with a 26. Oh man, it's hard not to, right? It's where he won championships, many championships there, and he's rebuilding Washington. Bill with a 27-22 victory over Kevin. Pittsburgh and Mr. Penguins with a 45-14 victory over Jay Bowles. Wow. Priest with a 21-10 victory over D Money. Not sure that game actually got played. Not trying to take anything away from Priest. Maybe it was played. I think I remember poking my head in this game, so maybe it was played. I'm not sure. Everything becomes a blur in this league. Mr. Denver with a 37-27 victory over Luca. Mr. Bronco Man, or not Bronco Man, I'm sorry, Glaze with a 23-28 loss to Mr. Logan. So Logan bouncing back in week number 5. Meat Boy showing it off here with a 28-0 win over Crazy Man, who still trying to get life together after a terrible accident for his family. The Colts and Mr. Bronco Man with a 24-21 victory over Kobe. Mr. Nipples and his Ravens fall 34-20 to Little Koch. And then the Saints in my team with a 35-7 victory over Nicesonger. I want to go back and talk about the game that Mr. Maniac poked his head in there. Bigger victory for Trey trying to go on the road. But Tim says, nay, old coach. You can't just walk in here and get a win here. Impressive victory for Tim. Are the Lions for real here in the NFC North?
Go ahead, Hurt. You go first this time.
Yes, I think the Lions are definitely like a legit team. I just I'd have to say like been kind of hard on him like in critical moments. I think his team is definitely built like he got handed a strong team import wise this entire cycle. He's got a really well-rounded roster. I think some of the key guys that like Ragnar and some other guys he moved out, I just think are going to stop him from making it all the way to how far he wants to get. But I think Trey, when we talk about Trey's team versus like Tim's Lions, like right now, like Trey's team is now overall wise, like on paper, isn't even close to what the Lions have. The Lions have an all-pro team from top to bottom on both sides of the ball. They have speed. They have, everything. So I'm not surprised that Tim got the win, but I think on a level playing field, like Trey would have probably pulled this one out. But Yeah, I think Tim is, and Tim's Lions. I think they are for real. They are going to be a factor in the North. They were last year, but I think there's just certain games that he's going to struggle. And I think when it comes to the end, I don't know that he's going to make it, to the NFC Championship game or be, an OMFL Bowl contender. He's definitely a playoff contender, though.
Well, I'm kind of going by looking at it by the glass is half empty look, and especially these two games I've talked about so far. I think this is a bigger loss for the Commanders than it is actually a bigger win for the Lions, just for the simple fact that the NFC North has proven to be, even though we have the champion, the reigning champion, the Bears from there, the North has just proven to be the league, the division that eats itself up. Guys will beat around on each other. But with the NFC East, you have the Cowboys that are so dominant, and right now he's 6-0, and you're the Commanders, and you got the Giants that have been really solid so far this Madden, and you take that loss. It's going to be really a tough loss for you going into this part of the season. 4-2, yeah, it's not the end of the world, but the Commanders, I think, it really kind of sets them back, especially if they're trying to position themselves against the Cowboys. And we all know that this league is really tough, and trying to position yourself for a playoff spot. And sometimes those types of losses right there will come back to haunt you at the season end. So.
Oh, he didn't even finish the thought. My guy just said, all right, I'm done. I heard the buzzer. I mean, if I'd have known that's all it took this whole time to have a little buzzer, I'd have had a buzzer a long time ago. You could finish that thought, though.
No, I just think that at this point in time, when you're getting close to the season end, these type of losses really will affect you down the road, and it could be significant when you're trying to jockey for that playoff spot.
All right, I got it tied 6-6 here. It looks like our other two buddies aren't going to show up tonight. So it's a rough go at Around the Horn, but it's okay. We'll get it figured out for the next one, and hopefully all the guys can kind of try to make it there. Well, there's one that's supposed to be here in the chat right now, so he's got time to be in the chat. Hopefully he's not driving and in the chat right now. He said he was at practicing. My Saints fell to Bird and his Cardinals 31-14 to start off week number 6. This was a big-time game. Kevin flexing with 35-32 win over Bronco Man. I got to be honest, love Bronco Man to death. I am so proud that he's pushing himself to put on a video and doing it. I had to turn this off after a quarter. My guy was ranting and raving. I feel like I carry that anger into my games sometimes. Mr. Beal with a 27-0 win over Massimo. Mr. D. Wayne with a 20-17 victory over Trey. So 2 close losses back to back for Trey. Baltimore and Nipples bounces back with a 21-16 victory over Luca. Watch this game. It's very close. Came down to the very end. Cincy Berg with 2 big victories in a row, 31-7 over Lost. Jacksonville and Nicesonger bounces back in week number 6 with a 35-27 victory over Roger. Mr. C Murder Colin, the champion. Yeah, I felt like I got that wrong, but Colin, the champion, with a 38-6 victory over Joker, which was pretty astonishing. Then we had a sim game against San Francisco and LA, so I'm not going to talk about that one. The Chargers and Logan with a 42-24 victory over Jay Bowles. Little Koch with a 28-27 victory over Meat Boy. Mr. Penguins with a 30-24 victory over Maniac. Flurry flexing his muscles, 37-14 victory over Big Hurt. Sorry, Big Hurt, got to cover him. Mr. Priest with a 34-10 victory over Twinkie. And man, there are a lot of games that we could talk about here, but I'm going to come talk about this Jacksonville and Texans game. The Texans fall 27-35, 2 losses in a row after starting out 4-0. What has hampered here the Texans in their last 2 weeks?
Just looking at kind of some of the things that may have went wrong. Obviously, this game the 4 turnovers by Stroud, that's got to hurt you. I mean, and I'm not sure exactly what he did the previous week, but more than likely, probably interceptions probably got the best of him in that game as well. I think Roger has definitely proven so far this season that he can compete. He's obviously putting together a really good season. He was 4-0, I think, at one point in time. But those turnovers will definitely be something that will derail any kind of success that you can have going in the season. And kudos to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's had a couple of tough losses, and he really like lights out. His team played like they were a championship quality team, and he hit me on the ropes and definitely took me to the end there and pulled out the close victory against me. But yeah, with the Houston Texans, though, I think if he can just kind of maybe tone back a little bit of that gunslinger mentality, I think he can get back on track. But he's got to maintain his identity, but maybe rein it in just a little bit.
Big Hurt's going to catch up with the flow of this game here sooner or later.
What's that? I didn't hear what you said.
I said Big Hurt's going to catch up with the flow of how this thing's supposed to work here soon.
Oh, no, I just had my mic muted. I was pulling a maniac, but I was actually letting my dog back inside. Not the goat, but the dog. But anyways, week 5, CJ Stroud only threw 1 pick against Cincy, but he only had like a 46% completion percentage. So, and then in week 6 versus the Jaguars, I actually got to watch a handful of this game. And Nicehunger played pretty good defense. It started off a little bit slow for him, but then like it just seemed like the turnovers piled up on him. And I feel like once that kind of happened, it was kind of a snowball turned into the avalanche for him. And at that point you're down, and I think he had 2 pick sixes, if I remember correctly. Nicehunger did. So it just seemed like, things kind of flipped quick, and momentum definitely was a big factor for the Jaguars in this game. And I know the Jaguars, like, he's been messaging me kind of in the DM a little bit here and there. And he picked up Brock Purdy. He was happy about that move, and just kind of some advice to him. I was like, use Purdy not like Justin Fields, because like Fields can run and whatnot. Purdy's more of just like a game manager. And so I think for me, seeing that him like having moments where he's utilizing Purdy's ability to throw the ball but also try and run the ball has made himself a little more balanced. And I think at times, even going back to the Bills game, it was like he came out in 3 tight end sets, 1 receiver, and was just really in heavy sets. So it kind of slows the game down a little bit and allows his defense to, be more impactful. And so I think in this game, he knew that he was going to have to go up against a fierce pass game. And so he just was able to kind of dial it in and cause some turnovers and get the momentum going in his direction.
I love it. I got it 11 to Maniac to 14 to Mr. Big Hurt. So we got quite the showdown coming here. We're going to look through weeks 7, 8, and 9. You guys get to each pick one game that you're looking to watch for. You can see it here. I'll cover the games that are already covered and cover the schedule. You got to tell me why these are good games that you should watch here in week 7, 8, and 9. Mr. Massimo fell to Bronco Man. I got to poke my head into this one. I did make minor tweaks, and then I looked at these first 2, or I guess technically first 3 scores now, and I went, oh no, did I break it? So these scores have made me pause, but we'll talk more about that at the very end. Massimo falls to Bronco Man 42-14. Arizona Cardinals and Joker with a 51-22 victory over Little Koch. Colin and the Cowboys, I don't know what I'm thinking. Colin and the Bears with a 40-24 victory over Priest. The other game still to be played, Saints and Eagles. Texans are going to travel to view the Titans. Bills versus Patriots. I don't know why I'm reading them off like this, but Penguins versus Nipples. Flurry versus Beal. Kevin versus Crazy Man. Let's see if that game even gets scheduled. Bird versus D. Wayne. Mr. Tim versus D. Money. Logan versus Luca, and then finally Denbrew versus Bronco Man. Mr. Big Hurt, who are we watching for in week number, 7?
For me, I'm going to be dialing it in. I'd have to pick, I feel like 2 games are what I'm debating back and forth, and I think it's the Lions and the Niners.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said pick one game. I got pick 2.
Well, I mean, so I got those, but and the Lions and the Niners, I think, is a game that could be really a measurement of kind of where Tim's at. But if I had to pick the one game that I'm for sure and telling everyone to make sure that they're tuning into, for me, it's going to be the Chiefs and the Chargers. I think this is just a classic battle for the AFC West. Shocks fan, he is trying to kind of make himself relevant and a staple consistency factor into the division. But right now, they're chasing the curtails of the Broncos, and the Broncos have been really hot. And so I think this game is just going to be kind of like whoever loses, you're kind of really putting yourself in a long season grind. Whereas if you can win, you can stay within a game or so. And then that head-to-head matchup versus Denver really can easily be, I catch that ground, I become tied with them type of thing. So this game is going to be a big one for that division. So I would say Shocks fan and Logan for me for the game to watch.
I like it. Mr. Maniac, what's the game you're watching in week number 7?
Well, the game that I'm watching is going to be against the Browns and the Broncos, because these two guys are currently top of their division. So the Broncos are 4-1 right now, and the Browns are also 4-1. So this is going to be kind of maybe a possible playoff matchup that could be possibly in the future if these two guys maintain their position. But both these guys are coming in really playing good football right now. You look at the points scored for the Browns right now, they're 127 points, which they're actually tied for last in their division. But the defense side, they're playing spectacular, only giving up 78 points so far on the season. You look at the AFC West, again, the Broncos are kind of similar. They're also last in points in their division, 122, but the defensive side is what's maintaining their lead right now in that division. They're only giving up 83 points so far on the season. And so I think the defense is what's going to be a showcase in this game. Whoever makes the most mistakes are probably going to be coming out with a loss in this game. But I look for this game to be one that's going to be a grinded out type of game, especially with how they're doing so far on the season. We may see a couple pick sixes, but look for the quarterback that makes the most mistakes, probably going to be on the losing side of this one.
We got some good games there in week number 6, which is currently underway. Week number 8, you got Maniac going to see Cincyberg. You got Fleury going to play Bird. You got Kobe going to play Nicesonger. You got Massimo coming to play my Saints. Go ahead and chalk that one up for a dub. You got Priest coming to play Tim. You got Bill going to play Big Hurt. That's going to be a fun one. Little Koch going to play Luca. Roger going to play Bronco Man. Penguins going to face off against Crazy. Mr. Jay Glaze going to go play Trey. I don't know why. I trying to see the PlayStation names and relate that to the names they go by in Discord. There's like a pause in my old brain sometimes. Meek Boy is going to go play Colin. Jay Bows is going to go play Twinkie. Nipples is going to go play Logan. That'll be a good one. D Money going to go play Dwayne. There's no way that game actually happens. I'm just calling it right now. There's going to be some death in the family or some trip that's going to happen. Something's going to happen to keep these guys from playing. The universe doesn't want to see it till it counts. And then finally, Denbrew going to play Joker. That's going to be a great one to finish off week number 8. Maniac, what are you watching for in week 8?
Well, I'm watching to see if the Texans can actually bounce back and get rolling. They're currently right now tied for first place with the team that they're going to be playing also this week, the Colts. So this is going to be a good matchup within the division. Both guys are playing really solid on offense as you look at their offensive points for the season. But this this division definitely is not the defensive division at all. Like there's points being given out by the defensive side. Like you get a point, you get a touchdown, whatnot. But I think really entertaining game though. The Texans have definitely figured some things out. He's playing really solid on offense. If he can just get his defense kind of going a little bit, maybe make a little less mistakes here and there. The Colts really have bounced back, I think, tremendously. He's kind of had a rough start as well, off and on, but he's 4-3 in the mix of things. He's got the most points scored so far in this division, and both these guys have tremendous good quarterbacks. Offensive players on the wide receiver positions, both sides. So look for this to be a fireworks. I think that we're going to see possibly both these guys around 40 points in this game, so it should be entertaining.
Mr. Big Hurt, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, this is a week where there's quite a few games. I think for me, I'm going to tune into the Bills and Maniac versus Cincy and the Jets. And the reason I say that is I feel like Cincy's gaining some confidence and some ground now again, and he did this last season. And then I know he went on vacation and things kind of fell apart right there in the playoffs, and then he kind of bounced back in the playoffs and stuff. So, but Maniac obviously has been playing really good football, and I know he lost Josh Allen, so I'm going to be interested to see how this pans out in this game. But the way this division shapes up is going to be why I like this matchup, because not only division but also for seeding purposes, it just seems like each season so far this cycle, this matchup twice a year has been things that have come down and impacted the playoffs on who's getting a wild card or, one or two top seed type of thing. So I think this game, just this matchup, these two teams, both playoff caliber teams, and like I said, it just has so much impact playoff wise on not only being a wild card, winning the division, but also like how the seeding shape up for these teams and the rest of the AFC. So for me, I'm tuning into the rivalry of the Bills and the Jets.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one and a pivotal matchup, as you already pointed out. Looking at week number 9 before we move on to talk some defense tonight. Cincyberg going to go face Trey. Dwayne going to go face Fleury. Colin going to go play Priest. Tim going to go play Luca. Lost traveling to see Kevin. Massimo going to play Kobe. Denbru's going to play Penguins. Bronco, man, this is you want to pull up two streams where two guys just moan and groan and cry the whole time. This would be one to watch. He's going to come play my Saints. Joker going to go play D-Money. Jay Bowles is going to go play Logan. Maniac playing Bill. That'll be a fun one. Big Hurt going to go play Meek. That'll be a fun one. Nipple going to go play Little Koch. We got Nipples versus the Koch. And then we got finally Nice Songer going to play Mr. J Glaze. Maniac. Oh, no, it's Big Hurt's turn. Big Hurt, what are we watching in week number 9?
What I'm watching is to see if the Bengals can keep the streak. They started off 0-4. They've won 2 big games here the last couple of weeks, and they've got a big pivotal matchup against the Ravens, which is the AFC representative team from the OMFL Bowl this last season. I think if Koch can continue the confidence, continue the momentum, and get this, he could easily get these things turned around and sneak into the playoffs. But again, this is a big game for him, and I think, like I said, the traction that he's gaining is interesting, and I kind of called it. I think he was 0-4, and I was like, it's not too late, but he's going to have to get it going here soon, or it's going to be too late, and he's rattled off 2 wins. I look to see if he can get this. He's got the roster to compete with his offensive line. I think he's going to have to run the ball a little bit more. So this might shockingly be a more low-scoring game than most people anticipate, but I think Koch finds a way to compete and try and keep himself relevant in the AFC, but also in the division of the AFC North at this point.
Maniac, what are we watching in week number 9?
I'm looking to watch this game. It may not have a whole lot of playoff implications, but I have a feeling it's going to be fun. We've seen so far both these guys, they have spectacular quarterbacks. They put up a lot of points. I'm talking about the Patriots and the Buccaneers. Both these guys have had their struggles so far. I mean, right now the Buccaneers are 2-4, and you're looking at the Patriots. They're 3-3. They're still in the mix of things, but both these guys love to sling the ball, and they've got gunslingers at the quarterback position. I'm looking at this game. There's no doubt there's going to be points scored. It's just going to who's going to be able to show up on defense. But both tend to sometimes have problems with the turnovers. You look at both quarterbacks; they've kind of led, the league in a lot of turnovers, especially in the quarterback position, either top 10 in turnovers or whatnot. But still, again, though, this game definitely kind of has that vibe of being a high-scoring game, a really entertaining game. And if you tune in and watch it, no doubt it's going to be entertaining. So just tune in and watch. These guys will not disappoint.
Guys, we got a tie game here. We 25-25. We covered week 7, 8, and 9, and now it's time to talk some defense. And it just hit me as we're talking about it. What's up, Nice Songer? What's up, Kicking? What's up, Bronco Man? I made a pretty massive mistake, and so I'm cheating a little bit on accident. I didn't send Big Hurt the agenda, so poor Big Hurt got thrown in this in the excitement of me trying a new idea and did not get the agenda at all. So that's going to be on me, but that's okay. We're going to figure it out together. We're talking defense here in the OMFL. I thought that this could be a fun subject, and next week we will cover the offense. And the way that I wanted to frame this question to help Big Hurt just a little bit as we get into that, but I want to talk about suffocating defense. So give me a team that you think is playing great defense and break it down. Why are they breaking defense? Why are they playing great defense? How do they play great defense? How are they doing it in the league? I'll let you go second, Big Hurt, since I'm sort of putting you on the spot. So, Mr. Maniac, I'm going to come to you first. Who is playing suffocating defense? And break it down. How? Why? What are they doing to get there?
Really, truly, honestly, there's quite a few guys that are actually playing pretty good defense. I mean, if you look at the overall scores of a lot of games, you probably wouldn't think so. But this one guy in particular, and I will say, it kind of surprised me a little bit. But the Packers, he's kind of put together a pretty solid defense. If you look at his overall ratings and different guys that he's accumulated on his defensive side. He's tops in sacks. He's got 18 sacks, 3 fumbles, 11 interceptions. Now, he has given up 152 points, but his rush defense is pretty solid. Not the greatest, but still pretty solid. He makes you really kind of work for it. But I think where he really kind of has come a little bit out of his shell, I think it's on the passing defense. So his passing defense, because he gets after the quarterback, he makes you work for every yard on offense, especially passing the ball. And with the 18 sacks, I have a hard time getting to the quarterback. But he seems like every time you watch his games, he's after the quarterback. He's getting sacks. He's causing interceptions. And I know he hasn't had the success or the overall a record so far, but he has been doing it really well on defense. And if he can get things put together, we might see a different Packers team. But for sure, though, the stats are there, and he is really making his mark, especially on getting after the quarterback, rushing the quarterback, and getting the turnovers.
Mr. Big Hurt, sorry for putting you on the spot, but I'm glad that I remembered to try to buy some time here. Who is a team that you think is playing really great defense, and then break it down? How are they doing it?
Well, for me, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Bears. Bears are the OMFL Football champion, but he is in the top 10 offensively in points per game, But also, if I look at defensively, he's top 5 in points allowed per game. And I think it's, obviously common sense when you're scoring a lot, especially the way his offense can be kind of fast scoring at times. Your defense gets put in situations where they're on the field more often. And on top of that, they're also having to play in a more in a high scoring game, or those opportunities for the other team. Not to mention he's in the NFC. He's had a top schedule, and a first place schedule, so he's had a pretty rough schedule opponent wise, strength of schedule wise is what I'm trying to say. So I think it's interesting to see that he's keeping his points up there in 10th or in the top 10, but he's also top 5 defensively. And this guy has every piece to just frustrate you. The defensive line, the linebackers, he's got the safeties, he's got the corners. And he showed that in last year's playoff run and in the OMFL Bowl. He's got the corners to just create turnovers and really just put a lot of pressure on teams. So I think for me, suffocating defense, I got to go with the Bears and Colin. And that's honestly kind of shocking for me to call, because I always kind of view Colin as just a heavy pass, feed it to DJ Moore when he had DJ Moore, and now he's got Tyrone Watts or whatever his name is, and Roma Dunes, and he's killing it with those guys. But he's secretly putting a pretty solid defensive campaign together in this season, being a top 5 defense as well.
Look at that. You get a little buzzer and you give points away, and these guys don't even take 2 minutes to get through their answer. I'm kind of digging it, but I'm going to have to come up with more subjects for us to talk about here pretty soon, because we're rolling through it. I'm kind of liking where we're at here. All right, let's go open up the OMFL mailbag. That is the thoughts on some of the top suffocating defenses here in the OMFL, and Bird opened up the chat here tonight, which has been a little quiet, a little more quieter than normal. Everything is not working the way I thought it would be. I thought it's going to be a great show. People are going to be here ready for it. We've got all 4 of our guests ready. 2 of them no-showed, and the chat's been pretty dead here. But the OMFL mailbag is not dead. There's some really good questions, one of which that we did want to wait on. So Mr. Trey asked this, and again, it's just going to be open. I'm going to let you guys figure out the flow here, and I'm going to give out points to guys that I think are given some really good points. I think we still have a tie game. We're tied at 35 each, but Trey said, create the perfect OMFL player based on these attributes: offensive game plan. I think he means OMFL coach, but offensive game plan, defensive game plan, offensive reads, defensive user ability, and friendly banter. You could only use one user at a time. I'm going to let you guys do some thinking, and I'm going to go ahead and run through these myself. Offensive game plan, well, that's a good one. There could be a plethora of different guys that I would think about here. But I need to pick one, and I'm trying to think, who do I think overall could just absolutely find a weakness in your team and throttle you. I would pick Trey. I think Trey's a really good offensive game plan player. Defensive game plan, I'm going to be lazy on this one. I'm taking D-Money. That guy absolutely suffocates you time and time again. Offensive reads, I'm going to pick one that I think is a little outside the box, and because I just watched him go 17 for 18 with 2 picks, which means he did not have an incomplete pass. He just threw 2 of them to my team. But Bird, it feels like Bird's sitting next to you. He is the most frustrating, unfun guy for me to play, and I cannot wait till I get to boot him from this league and never have to play him again. Defensive user ability, this could go a lot of different ways. I think both of you guys could be mentioned here. Cincy Bird could be mentioned here. Kobe, we watched Kobe really put a lot of pressure on people. I'm taking Dwayne, though. I'm going to be lazy. That guy just takes away the middle of the field, forces you into some tough plays. Friendly banter, that's a tough one because those 2 words don't go together, and I'm not sure anybody here does it friendly. But if I would say the most friendly guy that I could pick, there's a lot of guys that I could pick as most friendly, but I'd say Bird. He's probably the most active, kind person, though. He can be a pretty smart aleck player as well. I can't pick Bird because I've already picked Bird. So, Shocks fan. And though, Shocks fan isn't all that active in the chat. Let me think. Dang, that's a tough one. I would pick, you know what? I'm gonna pick an outside the box one. I'm gonna pick Nice Songer. He's pretty active in chat, really friendly guy, does it pretty well. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick Nice Songer for this one. I'm gonna let you guys decide who's going first on this one, but give me some friendly banter, some reads, some game planning. Who's your perfect OMFL coach?
Rock, paper, scissors.
I need a subtract button.
All right, well, I'll just go first.
You're getting a point just for going first.
There we go. Perfect. So offensive game plan, I would have to go with just based off of like picking plays and kind of like setting up the next thing, attacking defenses and their weakness. I'm gonna go with Cincy. I think that guy just puts so much stress on people. He always comes up with those plays that are just like so like stressful for a defense. Even if you have the right defense, he's just attacking the right spots at the right times. And that's why the guy's always averaging 30, 40 points a game. It's just his defense at times. But on the flip side, defensive game plan, I'm going to go with, for this season right now, I'm going to pick Denver. Denver's killing it on defense. I think he just always is in that aspect. I'd also possibly maybe could argue Bill. Bill has had longevity, has always had a really good defensive like game plan and just putting a lot of people in certain situations that and he builds his team well and schemes well. So I would say Bill or Denver in that aspect. Offensive reads, I'm definitely going with Bird. Bird just mixes the run so well, but he has like these, I want to say lower like overall receivers, but they're qualified, they're decent receivers, but he picks the right guy at the right time, picks the right play, and just makes the right read and doesn't turn the ball over. But I would also argue, and the reason I didn't pick him is because I'm using him in a different spot. D. Wayne, I know for a season, I looked at his stats one time, and he had like 30 touchdowns and only 3 picks with the Cowboys, and he just runs the ball and keeps running and keeps putting pressure on you. But the reason I didn't pick him as my offensive reads person is I wanted to save him for the defensive using ability, because that guy, I've never played anyone in this league that can shoot gaps with a linebacker on the run game like he can. And so that is straight user skills for my take. So I would have D. Wayne as my defensive user. And then friendly banter, I think for me, this is tough. I have 2 people that I would throw out there, and I would say either Roger, or just because he's always talking in the chat, very active. But I would also say Randy, Bronco Man. He's very active in the chat. He's always talking about stuff, and he's finding topics like Bo Nix to talk about and everything, even when he's pissed off and hates the game and whatever. And he builds funny articles when Jonathan Taylor fumbles and stuff like that. So I would have to say Bronco Man is my friendly banter.
Well, I guess it's my turn, so I will take my stab at this one. This is a loaded question for sure. So offensive game plan, I'm gonna go with the champion. Colin got there with his offensive proness, and he's still putting up points. He gets it done on offense. Passing the ball, I don't think there's anybody better in this league passing the ball. I'm sure there could be an argument for that, but for me, I'm putting my offensive game plan in Colin's hands. On the defensive side of the ball, give me the tried and true guy that's kind of always been there, and the guy we've always talked about, Mr. Bill. He is just excellent at his defensive game plan. You look at how he's attacked the Cowboys so far this Madden. It is phenomenal what he's done, even in the playoffs and in the regular season. Dwayne has to bring his A-plus game every time he plays the Giants. For as the offensive reads, I'm going with my guy that I have to face twice this season, Cincyberg. Cincy just, even if he starts the game off completely off tilter, maybe he's throwing an interception or whatever, he gets back into his game plan, starts reading your defense and making plays, makes the perfect passes the rest of the game, and then he just absolutely drives you nuts on defense because you're like, well, you think you've got to shut down, but yet here he is. All of a sudden, he's got 300, almost 400 yards passing and got nearly 100 yards rushing as well. So he is definitely the offensive reads guy that I would put in charge of the offense, my quarterback, basically. The defensive user, I think we're all anonymous on this one, Dwayne. He just absolutely will drive you nuts with that linebacker. He did that to me in the first Super Bowl this Madden. He just took away the whole middle of the field. I thought I had a couple of plays that were touchdowns, and all lo and behold, they're interceptions, and that has absolutely cost me that ball game. But there is nobody better than Mr. Dwayne using the middle of the field, especially. Now, if you go break it down per position, then we can get into a whole different story. But overall, defensive user ability, Dwayne. And my banter, the friendly banter, my name that I'm going to throw out here is probably not one that most guys would think, but Dimbrew. When he does the OMFL news, his humor is so dry, but for me it's just hilarious because the way he does like the boo and bruise and stuff, and just kind of some of the little like nicks that he'll take it here and there at guys and stuff. So give me Dimbrew as the friendly banter guy.
Mr. Maniac, you're going to get us started on this one, then we'll go to Mr. Big Hurt. Mr. Bronco Man says, what's been more shocking to you in season 114? Some of the teams who are performing over expectations, are some of the teams who are underperforming. Maniac, what's been more surprising, over or underperforming teams?
Well, I have to go, and I've been waiting for this for several seasons, but the overperforming teams, you look no further than the Houston Texans. Roger has been playing absolutely great football. He's had a couple bad games, back to back, but overall, I think Roger is just really impressed, like how he's attacked the offensive side of the ball. And we know he's an offensive guy, but just the fact that he's in the race right now at this point in the season, he's leading that division. That speaks volumes for Roger, and I'm excited to see him there. And there's other teams that we could, throw in there that are over expectations. But for me, that is the team that just jumps out at me whenever I start thinking about this question. And so Roger and the Texans, man, he's if there's anybody that you can put out there to sling the ball around the field, put Roger in there, because he's going to get you some points on fantasy football.
Mr. Hurt, what's more surprising, overperforming teams or underperforming teams?
For me, I'm going underperforming. No disrespect to the teams that are having success, Jay Gliz, Roger. I'm happy to see that, but I'm going to go with the under. I'm going to take the angle of the underperforming teams, and the reason I want to take that route or that angle is because of this. You got the D-Money, who's at 2-4. I can't remember the last time D-Money was below 500, third place in his division. Bill, who just was in an OMFL Bowl 2 seasons ago, back on All-Pro, he's 500. And Trey, which is not like disrespectful by any means, but Trey has a much less talented roster, and he's above Bill in the East. on the flip side, you've got Shocks fan Logan. I figured one of you guys would be leading that division, and you guys aren't in first place. Neither one of you guys are in first place of the AFC West. I really thought Massimo would be back on track, picking up Max Crosby and making some moves that he did in the offseason. And so I thought the Dolphins would be back in the mix, and he is not at 1-6. And then Kobe was another former champion here, just not a couple seasons ago, and he's at 1-4. And then the last guy that I had was the Bengals with Koch, and he started off 0-4. He's bounced back and got 2 wins. But those teams right there are all teams that I picture in my head before this season as OMFL Bowl contending champion, winning teams that could win this season. And obviously things are playing out, and that's changed a little bit. But these are all teams that I thought, well, yeah, Koch could win, or Kobe could come back and win, or Bill could be in the picture. And now I'm sitting here looking at it, and I'm like, are some of these guys even going to have a chance at even like making a run at a playoff spot? So that's why I would take the angle of underperforming. Like I said, no disrespect to the guys that are having success, Glaze, Roger, and some other of those teams, but
Mr. Priest will go Big Hurt and then Maniac using the current roster for the season. These are tough because it's so hard to have the databases pulled up, but you guys can figure it out. What player would you select to make your beast mode front seven for a 3-4 defense? Defense spelt with a C. It's a new one for me. Right in, just picking Priest, sorry. Right in, left in, nose guard, Sam, Mike, Buck, and Will. I think this is Priest's version of trying to brag that he knows all of these positions. Mr. Big Hurt, who are your picks for right in, left in, nose guard, Sam, Mike, Buck, and Will?
Well, Priest, I'm very happy that you know your verbiage and lingo and a defensive layout. But yeah, that's a tough one. I think for me, I would have to go my 2 middle linebackers. I would have to go DeMarvin Overshown from the Dallas Cowboys. Fred Warner would be my other middle linebacker. You could put one as the Mike and the one as the Will. It doesn't really matter. I'd probably have Fred Warner more on the Mike just because he would probably end up covering the tight end a little bit more, and I think he has better coverage skills than DeMarvin Overshown. But either one of them has enough speed to play on the Will linebacker and make up ground from the backside. So those would be my 2 middle linebackers for sure. I would say my outside linebackers, that's a tough one. I would probably go with, I'm trying to think here. The guy off the Ravens, I can't remember his name, but the one outside linebacker that Nipple has, I'd have to do a little more digging. But I'd have that guy as my one outside linebacker. And then I'd probably go Parsons as my other outside linebacker. And then my defensive line, I'd have, in the OMFL for reasons, I'd have Lucas Van Ness as one of my defensive ends. And then I'd probably go Floyd Shivers from the Bucks as my nose tackle, and Marquise Thomas from Detroit. And it's easy for me to pick those guys because I play them twice a year, so I know their names a little bit better. But I would say those would probably be my guys that I would go off of for my ends, and then Floyd Shivers. And the reason I know him is because I was very interested in Vita VA at one point, and Shivers has seemed to be a nice fill for that spot. So that would be my front seven for the OMFL purposes.
I dig it. You did good. Maniac, you had plenty of time, so hopefully you were able to do a little bit of homework. Who's your front seven, bud?
My front seven, I know looking at the 3-4, it's a little bit different than like a 4-3, but some of these guys you can plug and play at any position. Give me Myles Garrett for a right end. He's big enough to play. He could play an outside linebacker or a defensive end in a 3-4, but I think he's stout enough, strong enough to play that right end. Myles Garrett. Looking at your left end, this is kind of like piecing together a squad that you could also afford because salary cap's probably going to come into effect as well. But Byron Murphy, the young guy from the Seattle Seahawks, he's 6'1", 308. He can nearly play defensive tackle, but I think at the left end, I think that's a key for like a power rusher / run stopper. And he's got all the tools that he can do all. He's not like a 99 overall type player, but still a guy that would fit that scheme and possibly what you're trying to put together. The nose tackle, this guy's got to be a monster. Got to eat some turf and some space. And I really actually like the Jalen Carter from the Eagles. He's 6'3", 314 pounds. He's not just a fat blob, but he's big and wide and takes up space. But he still has good speed, good strength, great strength actually, to get after the quarterback, but also stuff the run, getting those tackles for loss. Your Sam linebacker, yeah, Priest, I'm excited that you know all that stuff too, but really, like when you start getting into this, like you're wanting to get some guys that's got some speed off the edge, and I think you can look at with our current roster. He says current roster for this season. I'm taking my guy Mike Bolden. He is 6'4", 257. He's fast, athletic, can blaze off the edge, rush the quarterback, but he can also drop back in coverage. This guy can just do it all. He can put his hand in the dirt, rush, and the passing situations. Middle linebacker, I'm going to be taking, I think, looking at the current rosters, give me Roquan Smith. I think he mans the middle really well. He can get after the quarterback, but he can also just absolutely cover the middle of the field. And then give me Isaiah Simmons. He's also another fast guy that can just do it all and get after the quarterback and also but cover the main thing is those two middle linebackers. They got to cover the field and be able to cover and then also attack the run. The other outside linebacker, give me Micah Parsons. You can't go wrong with Micah Parsons.
Mr. Bronco Man, these are great answers, by the way. You guys are doing awesome. We'll go Maniac and then Big Hurt. Bronco Man says, you're in a tie game late in the fourth quarter. Do you trust your offense more to go and score to win it or take the lead, or do you trust your defense more to get a stop?
If this question would have been asked last season, I would probably have said my offense, but this season, I've got more faith in my defense, definitely to make the stop, at least give me that chance, that opportunity to get myself in position to either win the game or give me another shot on offense. But I've got to go. I need my defense on the field to kind of shut it down and give me the walk-off win, though, because my defense right now is the best part of my team.
For me, I'm going defense. I just feel like defense is what wins championships. That's been my MO. I do feel like with Justin Jefferson, I feel confident enough to go down and have a good drive, but offense has been shaky at times, and that's what kind of bit me in the ass, pardon my language, but bit me really bad when I played Fleury. My quarterback missed open throws. I couldn't run the ball. Like, my receivers were getting jammed and couldn't get open, and it was just a hot mess. So my defense at times played well, but it just seemed like I was 3 and out, punt, turn the ball over. And then when that happens, I mean, 37 points, there's more to it than what the defense allowed. You're in bad situations. So for me, I'm picking my defense to get the stop. And right now, that's what I feel more comfortable with.
We got a 47-45 lead for Hurt with 2 more questions left to go. Both Bronco Man and Tim, though, posted multiple questions on their last ones in one line. And so from now on, you get credit for one. Sorry, separate them, friends. Total hypothetical, trying to switch the questions up. Bronco Man, you're doing great with the questions. I love them, bud. Let's say that the OMFL does a total reset and does a startup fantasy league where all active players enter the draft pool. What 3 positions are you prioritizing in the draft? What positions would you be more okay with developing versus guys that are already good? So where are you going in your top 3 draft picks, and what are you prioritizing over guys that you can develop? Mr. Big Hurt, you're up first, bud.
Well, if we're doing a hard reset and what positions I'm going after offensive line. I'm going after corner, and I'm going after probably like a elite receiver. Those would probably be my 3 spots that I would go after. I just feel like offensive line has a little more importance in this Madden than any other Madden recently. You can have a low-rated offense of line, but at the same time, you notice the difference. And so I think the better the offensive line overall and players, and if you build them to your style of play, you can be a little more effective and manage the game a little bit better. And so I would say that, but then also with my receiver, just feel like that does help open up the run game. And when you need that, slant 10 and in, 10 and out, whatever it is, that guy gets open and catches the ball. But the corners, as D-Money has shown, and some of like Nipple, the corners are always going to be a spot that has to be a key to make to run in any championship capacity.
I agree. Maniac, what are your top 3 positions in a fantasy draft?
I'm going specifically this order. I'm going after the best cornerback that is on the board in my first pick. It's just been proven, like Hurt said, D-Money. Other guys have proved it. I've proved it with my import. That if you have one of the top 10 cornerbacks, you can basically let him shut down that one side of the field and not worry about it. And the other is offensive line. I think that's going to be my 2nd round pick. Again, that's going to be what I really attack next. Like Hurt said also, you make great points. See the difference with a high-rated 70 overall offensive line compared to a mid-80s to low 90s offensive line is definitely a big difference, especially with the holes that they will create for your running back, or maybe just the second longer that your quarterback can get to throw the ball. And thirdly, I'm going after a quarterback. I've found out now that Josh Allen is a nice commodity to have in this league, and so with him being down and I've got my backup going, I'm sure guys like Trey can do it with the 68 overall guys, but I can't. I've got to have that guy that's got that pizzazz or whatever that can really get the game, put him in his hands, and he can get it done for you. I think those are the keys, though, to really solidify a hard restart for your franchise going forward.
These are
Skip Bayless moment. He credited me twice, so I better be getting points for that.
these are really good points. I wanted to mix it up, and then it's so funny when Maniac said quarterback. I'm like, brother, I did the same thing as Big Hurt. I didn't even think quarterback top 3, and if I'm thinking fantasy draft, man, one could argue that that maybe I could wait till round 4 to get a quarterback. I'm going cornerback like both of you, first round. That's going to be my top pick, depending on what else happens, right? If I'm drafting 30th and the top 30 cornerbacks have already gone, then I'm probably going another position. I'm drafting center. You guys said O-line. I'm going center specifically, and I'm drafting an edge. I think having that edge pass rusher could be really, really important. All right, we got a tied game here, 50 each. So we're coming into our last question, our last group of questions, because Tim put these all in one line. And sorry, I'm not breaking it up anymore. You get one point if you can't put it in multiple lines for me. If you were making an all-star team with just players drafted this Madden cycle, oh my God, Tim, did you? I feel like we read other people's questions and then we figure out a different way to ask the same question, but in a way that you don't think it's the same question. This is the same question. If you were making an all-star team, just players drafted this Madden cycle, so import players, who would you have on it? I'm just picking Tim. That is not the same question. We could do offense this week and defense next week if you'd like. My guy's even breaking it up for me. Like, hey, we can bring that's why he only posted on one line. We're going to do them both. We'll do one offensive import, one defensive import. Maniac, I'm starting with you. Give me your top offensive and defensive import guy.
Well, for my team that I've already had experience with, I'm taking Shepard. Shepard was just an absolute game changer last season for me. He really hasn't showed up so far this season, but he's got the proven record. He's 30 years old. He's definitely going to be on my all-star team on the defensive side, because there is no way, no how that I'm letting this guy get past with not bringing him on, because he is just an absolute shutdown one side of the field. On offense, this could go so many different directions, but give me I don't know, the guy that the Bears drafted, the wide receiver this season. He has absolutely just killed it with him, and he's always open, always getting the ball to him. Watts is just a game changer. I don't know, he's 5'9", 194 pounds, but man, he absolutely gets open for every pass, and I definitely would get him on my team and try to make a difference for my offense, because man, can he put up points?
Mr. Hurt, who's your offensive and defensive import style player that was drafted this Madden cycle?
That's tough. I mean, if I'm importing, I kind of talked about this, like, I think a couple shows ago. I think it's almost a given that you bring in and import a quarterback, because you can go get that receiver in the draft. You can go get the running back in the draft, offensive line, that kind of stuff. But like, the quarterbacks are hard to find once you find that you like one. And also that if you can get one, for the majority of a cycle, he's cheaper. It helps you build that team in other areas and kind of fill the roster out. So with that being said, I would go with Danny McDimes. I just think McDimes has played pretty well for a quarterback drafted. It's hard. There's a few other quarterbacks, but I would say McDimes is a guy that's played really well and importable, in my opinion. Defensively, this is so tough, but I would have to say I'm going to go with what's the corner for the Bears? Is it Sutton, I think is his name? He's like 6'4". I think give me a second. I'll look it up. I think it's Sutton is his name, if I remember right. But he is no, Jalen Belton, sorry, is his name. He's 6'3", 213 pounds. So he's got the size to compete, but he's also got the speed to compete. And we just talked about how corners are so important. I'd be bringing this guy. He's a 94 speed, 94 speed and acceleration. Agility is a 96, and like I said, with the speed, zone coverage, 96 press. Like, That's just craziness. So I would say Jalen Belton would be the corner to bring over and shut that one side of the field down.
Danny McDimes, was he an import into this Madden? He wasn't drafted this Madden, right?
I think he was drafted the very first season of this cycle.
Okay, all right, there you go. I thought he was an import. Well, we can't blame Roger for that terrible name. Then, sorry, Roger, get off the hook for this one. I thought it was going to be his fault. I got to agree with you for all the reasons that you said. Offensively, I feel like you can pick up a lot of other positions to fulfill a lot of other needs, but quarterbacks, man, they're tough, and this has been a tough cycle to pick up a quarterback, and so I think I would lean Danny McDimes as well. I'm trying to think through all the other ones. I feel like all the other ones were imports into this Madden cycle, not drafted this Madden cycle. I could totally be wrong. I know a few have started this season, but nobody's really blowing you away. And then I look at the Bears and like, just pick anybody off of that team. Like, he's built such a good team. Maybe you could say the same about the Ravens, the last two guys in the OMFL Bowl. But I think that Colin has done a really great job drafting, and his teams could be just a ton of fun to watch. All right, we got a winner by 1 point, only because I can't take away points, because there's a couple times guys should have had some points taken away. But 53-52, Big Hurt. You get 1 minute on the clock to talk about whatever you want. Take off now.
Well, I appreciate it. It was a fun show to kind of talk about the different aspects and a lot of great questions. For me, I think the OMFL this year has just been really. This whole cycle has been really good. The parity has been great. We talked about underperforming and overperforming teams, and I just hate the word overperforming because I love seeing the parity. I love seeing teams and knowing that anybody can win on any given day. The old term, any given Sunday, it's alive and it's relevant here in the OMFL. And so I think that's great for the league for a whole. We've had some new guys that have won in the OMFL Bowl and represented in the OMFL Bowl championship game, and that's just again, we come to this place to play, to disconnect from everything, and the fact that we have the kind of parity that we have and everything else, you couldn't ask for any more.
Good point by Neislinger in the chat. The Lions with Fargus, yeah, he'd be another good one. And the 49ers did draft and develop a pretty good quarterback. Guys, this is fun. I know we got some kinks to work out and got to figure out the flow a little bit. I got to get points on the, I don't even know if I'll be able to do that. I'm, there's only so many fingers I have here to run a show. I need one of those cool control panels like he does. Look, that show's going off the air, so maybe they'll send me their control panel and I can have it. But what a really good show. My closing thoughts to put on this as we wrap things up are that these last, or I shouldn't say last, I should say first three scores for my minor tweaks have deeply concerned me that I've broken it. But also, after talking to a couple of owners in those games, it feels like those could have been games that just kind of got away and got weird. So I'll wait to play it myself. Here's what I did. I went down 2 points on coverage, defensive coverage, and defensive reaction, but I upped the speed by 2. So speed went to 55, which means faster players and slower players have a bigger gap. So faster players should play a little quicker and smoother. I just felt like the game felt slow and sluggish and like stuck in the mud. And so let me pump up speed, see if that speeds the game up, gets a little bit better flow to it, a little bit better interactions, because, man, the interactions have been terrible on All Madden. We didn't have that in the first 2 seasons. It's really bad this season. Watching these DBs just literally stand there and do nothing is maddening. I watched my DB and my linebacker in 2 different plays literally run away from the play, like stop and run away from the play. It's maddening. So I took down the coverage, up the speed, thinking that fast, because we have so many fast DBs, they'll automatically kind of be in better coverage anyway. So let me dumb down the coverage. I also upped the run blocking. and kept the pass blocking the same. So I'm keeping an eye on I lie. I upped the pass blocking because I upped the speed, thinking defensive linemen are usually faster than offensive linemen. So let me up the pass blocking so that it balances out those D linemen being so quick. I'm keeping an eye on things. I might put them right back. And here's the other thing I'm playing with, turning on abilities for next week. So it just, again, the game feels sluggish. It feels stupid. I'm going mad trying to figure out why it plays so dumb. It didn't play this dumb the first 2 seasons. I think everybody can agree. It played much smoother and better the first 2 seasons. It's really bad right now, in my opinion. And, I've got the sliders as maxed out as I feel like they can be without us having, 85 to 75 games, even though, again, these first 3 scores have been very, very worrisome. And we just got another one. Oh, no, I think we covered this one, 40 to 24 Bears over the Packers. So, again, I'll look at the stats. I'm going to play it myself and then make some decisions, but we may tweak those a little bit more. And I may just kind of make a decision after talking to a few board members tonight to turn on abilities and see if that helps balance it out. I don't think it will, but at this point, I'm shooting at the wind, trying to do anything to make All Pro enjoyable because it is not enjoyable. Love the content. This was a fun show. And if I know these guys the way I think I know these guys, hopefully Wayne and Trey will be able to join us for the next show. Wayne will probably be on nights, so hopefully Trey can. But Trey and Hurt will now hopefully be guests every Monday. We can have 3 to 4 guests on, and we'll do this around the horn style. And again, if I know these guys, they're competitive and they're going to push each other to try to win. Guys, thank you for making time for us tonight. Hit the like button if you'd enjoyed tonight's show. Leave a comment if you weren't here. Let us know what you thought about this style of show. I figured more voices, more thoughts. And who would have thought? Get a little buzzer and a time clock, and these guys wrap it up. They know how to stay within the time. So I appreciate these guys making time for me. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Know that I love you. You matter, and I cannot wait to see you again soon. Until then, God bless.
You're going down, Hurt.
Smash that like and subscribe.